What's going on, guys? And welcome back to the random video blog, where every single Friday I, Graham GSM Matthews, run down my rambling wrestling thoughts in the wrestling world, share a few stories, etc., etc. And ahead of No Mercy this upcoming Sunday, today's random video blog will focus on my top 7 favorite No Mercy matches of all time, dating back to 1999 to last year's installment. Now, No Mercy, I've done the reviews of all the shows in the past. 2016 went up this past week. But if you want to check out all my other reviews of the early installments of No Mercy from 99, even the UK version, up until 2007, you can do so or 2008, that's when it ended. You can check that out in Wrestle Rant. I don't know what numbers they were exactly, but if you go back in the Wrestle Rant playlist, I think I put them up around October of 2015, so you might have to go back a bit, but that's where they are if you want to check them out. Or just go into the Google search bar and type up No Mercy 2004 review, GSM, Wrestle Rant, whatever, and it should come up. But anyway, I'm looking forward to No Mercy on Sunday. We might find a match or two from this upcoming year's card on this list at some point down the road between Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, John Cena and Roman Reigns, at No Mercy this Sunday. It's like WrestleMania's coming early almost, so I'm looking forward to that. And yes, to answer your question before we get started here, I am wearing a Trent 7 t-shirt. I don't know where you can get this online, by the way, but I did buy this at the Progress show I went to about a month and a half ago, so cheap plug to Noah Wade for taking me to that show. Had an awesome time. And you can also check out the highlights from that video of my experience at Progress in New York City, in Queens, New York, from last month right here on the channel on the random video blog about a month ago. So anyway, let's get started, guys. Coming in at number 7, I was going to do top 5, but there were a lot of matches I wanted to include. So coming in from 2005 in number 7 is Batista versus Eddie Guerrero for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, the 05 show I thought was solid. I can't tell you many matches that took place at the show beyond the main event. I wanted to include this match for a number of reasons. 1, it was well wrestled. 2, it was notable for being Eddie Guerrero's final WWE pay-per-view appearance before passing away a few weeks later in November of that same year. And 3, I've seen it like a million times. Not because I overly love the match. It's not my favorite match of all time or anything, but I make it a point to watch Batista's first DVD at least once a year, and all the matches included the Batista I Walk Alone DVD. I think the second one was called I Walk Alone too, but anyway, so I've watched it no less than a dozen times over the past 7 or 8 years since I've had the Batista DVD. And this one is on there. I'm sure Batista holds this match very near and dear to his heart because Eddie's one of his best friends. It was in the main event of a pay-per-view. It was for a world championship. Now, the story going in after the very tumultuous, I guess would be a great word for it, 2005 that Eddie had in storyline, and the whole feud with Ray and the domestic, the custody of his son, of the son Dominic from Rey Mysterio, that whole feud in the summer of 2005. Eddie could not be trusted. Yet he was trying to befriend Batista to get a world championship match out of him, which he did on this pay-per-view. He kind of came in as the good guy, and at several points he kind of teased attacking Batista with a steel chair and going back to his evil roots. He never did. There were plans at one point, I believe, to have Eddie win the world championship. That might merely be a rumor. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. Not on this show, but when he was supposed to get the world championship match, I think the SmackDown before he passed away in November of 05. But anyway, they told a very, very good story here. One of Batista's better matches as World Heavyweight Champion in 2005. I thought it told a great story and ended the evening on a high note. Coming in at number 6 from 2006's No Mercy pay-per-view event, Chris Benoit versus William Regal. Now, you guys know I'm a big William Regal fan, so it should be no surprise this match ended up on the list. There really was no build-up at all. I think William Regal threw out an open challenge or something, and out came Chris Benoit to a huge pop. Benoit had been gone for the better part of 06. I think he lost the United States Championship to JBL at WrestleMania. He might have done something after that in post-WrestleMania season, but beyond that, he was gone from TV. So he took some time off, came back on this show to a big pop, and it wasn't a simple squash match. You would think, okay, Benoit's back, he'll win a 5-minute squash match. I remember they weren't given a ton of time, but in the time they were given, they made the most out of it, and they had a great match, which should come as no surprise given they're both technical wrestlers, submission specialists, William Regal and Chris Benoit. Very hard-hitting affair, excellent match. I would say it stole the show that night. They had a pretty good Fatal 4-Way on that same show for the World Championship, for the World Heavyweight title between Booker T, Bobby Lashley, Finlay, and Batista, which was also pretty good. But I thought this match stole the show. A great comeback story for Chris Benoit, who would later go on to win the United States Championship back again soon enough. But an amazing match from Chris Benoit, and a great way to reintroduce him to the WWE Universe. Coming in at number 5 from the 2002 show, which I did rank in my list for Bleacher Report last weekend as the greatest No Mercy all-around show up to date, up to this point. From the 02 show, like I said, for the WWE Tag Team titles, Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit versus Rey Mysterio and Edge. And then this marked the finals of the WWE Tag Team title tournament. The tag titles we have today for Raw were once the WWE tag titles that were introduced back in 2002 for the SmackDown brand. Now, the funny thing is that both teams were not regular tag teams. They didn't even stay together, 3 months beyond this pay-per-view. But Edge and Rey Mysterio came together. They really weren't doing anything. Kurt Angle and Edge had feuded on earlier in 2002. Benoit and Angle had a series of great matches that fall, including on SmackDown of the Unforgiven show, which I thought was a great match too. They banded together. Ultimately, I think they were the ones who emerged victorious here. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Angle and Benoit were the first tag team champions. I get that mixed up because Edge and Rey Mysterio did win the belts later on after that on like SmackDown or something. But point being is that it doesn't even matter who won. The match was fucking 5 stars. That's how good these four worked well. That's how amazingly well these guys worked together. Kind of kicking off the SmackDown 6. Also including Chavo Guerrero and Eddie Guerrero, who would get added into the fold and would have a great triple threat tag team title match. All 3 teams at Survivor Series about a month later. But this was a really, really, really good match. Like when tag team wrestling, it's had its peaks and valleys. Back in the 80s, I would say it had its biggest boom. But beyond that, it kind of died out after Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys in the 2001. But it got brought back in a major way in late 2002 with these 3 teams, specifically Edge and Rey Mysterio, and Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, culminating the finals of this tournament and really kicking off the lineage of the WWE Tag Team titles in a huge way. The match was phenomenal. Like I said, Angle and Benoit emerging victorious as the inaugural WWE Tag Team champions. But you will not see tag team wrestling better than this. Very few tag team matches in the history of this company are better than this one. I would put like the Rhodes brothers, Cody and Goldust versus The Shield from a few years ago, Battleground, but this match, it's hard to beat. This match is simply phenomenal. All due respect to AJ Styles, but I thought this match was 5 stars start to finish. Coming in at number 4 is from the 2016 show, just last year's installment, a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. AJ Styles versus John Cena versus Dean Ambrose. Now, the interesting thing about this match was that it was supposed to obviously headline the show. It was never scheduled to kick off the show. The only reason why they did that, it was a last-minute decision. They announced it literally mere hours before the pay-per-view, even if that. It might have been like an hour before the show. But because the Republican debate was on, or the presidential debate, not the Republican debate, I think it was the presidential debate, with Donald Trump and I think Hillary. It might have been Trump. I know Trump was on that night. It might have been Trump and someone else, but I'm pretty sure it was Trump and Hillary. But anyway, so that was going on at 8 o'clock, or 9 o'clock Eastern time, which would be an hour into the show. And they wanted people to tune into the network to see at least the WWE title match. Fuck everything else. So they put the match on first. It's their network. They can do what they want. It should have closed out the show, especially since Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton sucked. But I thought it was a really, really good match. All 3 guys told a great story. And the build-up I thought was really good. AJ had previously held wins over both men, beating John Cena at SummerSlam and beating Dean Ambrose to win the WWE Championship at Backlash the month prior. So AJ was riding high as the champion. The whole story here was that Cena, he didn't even have to pin AJ to win the belt, but not only that, if he pinned Dean or AJ or whoever, if Cena won this match, he would have won his 16th WWE title, tying Ric Flair's record in the process. Now, he wouldn't do that here. He would do it at the Royal Rumble a few months later. But still, the match was phenomenal. Now, pun intended, start to finish. They got a lot of time, again, despite the fact it kicked off the show. And you knew it was supposed to main event, because they had the opening not only for the pay-per-view, but for the match, too, after the entrances took place. So you know the match was supposed to go on later in the show. I don't know how they felt about it, but whatever. How the performers felt about it, I'm saying. But still, from start to finish, there was not a single dull moment. All 3 guys were hitting their signature spots. And I kind of figured AJ would win, but you never really know with this company. In the end, they did just that, having AJ once again pin Cena clean. Granted, he used a steel chair, but it's a triple threat match. There's no disqualification, so it's clean. It's a clean win in my book. So AJ retains the WWE title, preventing Cena from making history on this show. So a phenomenal way to kick off No Mercy 2016. Not the last match from that pay-per-view you will see on this list, by the way. Spoiler alert. Coming in at number 3, also from 2002, again, like I said, a star-studded show in the main event, obviously. And a match I've talked about a million times before. Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker for the WWE Championship inside Hell in a Cell. So I'm pretty sure I must have mentioned this match. If I didn't, I'm an idiot. When I did my list of top 5, top 10, whatever it might have been, Hell in a Cell matches a few years back before Hell in a Cell, I think 2015. In this match, I don't think it was number 1, but it was up there. I thought this match was really, really well laid out. And the way they built to this match, I thought was great too, because they had a match at Unforgiven, which many people forget about. And the match ended in a no contest, which you would think, oh, what a fluky finish, a cop-out finish. Who the fuck cares? That sounds dumb. But they had a really, really hot brawl in that show, destroying the set. It was amazing. And the only way they could contain these two beasts was if they put them inside Hell in a Cell. Now, Taker had been in various Hell in a Cell matches by this point. Brock Lesnar had not. He was merely a rookie on the scene, only having debuted 6 months earlier. So he was going in there like, completely unexperienced, having the odds stacked against him when facing The Undertaker. The match was as bloody as could be. Brock had Paul in his corner, Paul Heyman. Not really in his corner. He was outside the cage. I think he would get involved at one point, if I remember correctly. But super bloody match. Brock bled, Taker bled, destroying him with the, Taker had his arm in a cast. Brock was relentless and targeting that arm, eating the cast off, fucking gross shit, taking the belt off of Taker's waist and whipping him with it, and tying his arm against the cage and breaking the belt, the leather belt. It was crazy, dude. It was nuts. Lesnar, in the end, beating The Undertaker clean. So not only was the match awesome, but it was a big career launcher, assuming he wasn't a star already by that point, for Brock Lesnar, and beating Taker clean inside Hell in a Cell. Not many people can say they've done that. And then afterwards, taking the title atop the cage and celebrating up there. Huge win for Brock, and the match was fucking awesome. I really, really love that pay-per-view, and I really, really love this match. Coming in at number 2 from No Mercy 2008, which I also thought was a pretty good show. I think I put it at number 3 on my list of greatest No Mercy shows of all time. It was the main event, once again. Not Hell in a Cell, though. It was a ladder match. And you know where I'm going with this. For the World Heavyweight Championship, Chris Jericho defending against Shawn Michaels. Now, the feud these two had is really, there's no words to describe it. That's how great it was. Exceptional storytelling from April to October. And Jericho's talked about it before in his book, which I reviewed here on the channel about a year ago on the Random Video Blog. Cheap plug. Check it out if you haven't already. But, what can I say about this feud that hasn't already been said? It was almost perfect from when it started to when it ended. And it really wasn't meant to go beyond a few months. That's what made this match so special. When Jericho says his favorite match of all time, he says this one. Because of the story that they had told. Not only was the match just over the top incredible, which Jericho's had a lot of those matches in his career, it was the story leading up to it. Now, I won't recap every minute detail of the rivalry leading up to this point, but they started out as allies, and Jericho, accusing Shawn Michaels of lying during Michaels' feud with Batista coming out of WrestleMania 24. Chris Jericho turning on Shawn Michaels in early June, I think on my birthday. No, I think it was June 9th that he turned heel, not on my birthday. But anyway, so he turned heel on Shawn Michaels, I think in early June of 2008, and they had a series of bloodbaths from that point forward with Jericho beating down Michaels at the Great American Bash Show, inadvertently, legitimately punching his wife at SummerSlam, then Shawn Michaels beating the shit out of Chris Jericho at Unforgiven. But that wasn't it. That same night, Jericho won the World Heavyweight Championship by winning the Scramble match, if you remember those, to win the belt to fill in for an injured CM Punk. So with Jericho as the new World Heavyweight Champion, I don't know what Michaels did to get a title shot. I think he might have been voted in. I don't know if he won a number 1 contenders match, but anyway, the bad blood was there between Jericho and Michaels, and it made sense to give Michaels a title shot, although it was before Jericho won the belt. He holds a victory over the World Heavyweight Champion, a relatively recent victory. So it made sense to give him one more match against Jericho, this time for the world title, to culminate their epic, epic, epic rivalry. And this time around, it would be in a ladder match. And Shawn Michaels being the master of the ladder match, I think he chose this stipulation. Jericho had been in a few by that point, but was not nearly as seasoned in the stipulation as Shawn Michaels. Again, bloody. Jericho had one of his teeth legitimately knocked out. Lance Cade getting involved, costing his former mentor Shawn Michaels the matchup. These guys held nothing back and just battering each other with ladders, and the story was great. Michaels, oh, so close. Literally, it was a tug of war for the title. At the top of the ladder, they're going back and forth, and Jericho just barely by the skin of his teeth, pulling down the belt and collapsing down to the floor. Michaels couldn't believe it. He was starstruck. He was just completely shocked. He couldn't believe it. That Jericho had managed to find a way to retain that title against all odds. And the match was phenomenal. I cannot blame Jericho for saying this is his favorite match of his entire WWE career, gun to head, just because of the story they told in the match itself. But, in my opinion, again, this is not greatest No Mercy matches list. You can check out other articles for that, videos for that. This is my top 7 favorite matches in No Mercy history. Favorite, not best. I've said that before. Coming into number 1, and I really, really, really love this match. I talked about the 2016 show before. I love the triple threat. I love this match that much more because, again, of the story told of the feud going into it between The Miz and Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. What do you think I was going to say? Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton, did you? I don't think so. I'm just kidding. But Ziggler and Miz, it's a match we had seen a million times before. They had previously feuded over the Intercontinental Championship in like 2014. They had a million matches on Raw and SmackDown earlier on in 2016. Like when the feud first started, I'm just like, oh, again? They have no more fresh ideas for Miz as IC champion, so they have to rehash rivalries now. But the story going into this was that they really changed my mind in the feud at Backlash because Miz won, and it was a really, really good match. They've always had great matches. It was the feud and the stories that were lacking previously, prior to this point. So Ziggler loses at Backlash. He loses again in a rematch on SmackDown the same way he lost the first time, with the hairspray to the face, to the eyes, whatever. So Miz retains the title with help of Maurice. And Ziggler says, I want one more match in No Mercy, but if I lose, I'm done. I'm quitting WWE. I'm retiring. Now, I didn't think Ziggler was losing for a second. I think a lot of people assume, oh my God, his contract is up, which is inaccurate. I don't think his contract is up for like another few weeks. Like this October, not last October. So I don't know why people thought for a second that he was actually leaving. He was looking at other spots on the roster, like in a producer role, whatever. So, although to me the outcome was never really in doubt, I did really want Miz to win. I wanted him to hold that championship through the subsequent July, this past July, to break the Honky Tonk Man's record as the single longest reign as Intercontinental Champion, like a consecutive reign, as with days, not like the number of days that he's held it, which Miz already broke, I think, last week. But anyway, that record. But the match was great. I mean, even better than the Backlash match and the SmackDown match, because again, with something at stake, not only was it just a third match for Dolph Ziggler, because we all know he was going to fucking win. He had to put something on the line here in his career. And the promos were awesome. Miz was hitting his stride, and he still is. Miz is still great to this day. And he always has been. But he was really finding his footing as an IC champion by this point. Berating Dolph Ziggler, you're a fucking loser. You've always been a loser. You have your moment, and you fucking screw it up. Okay, he wasn't dropping the F-bomb. I'm kind of throwing my own spicy language in there, but you get the gist of what I'm saying here with Miz berating Dolph Ziggler. You can't do this. You're a loser. You can never win the big one. And I thought the way this was laid out was so great, and they got a lot of time. I don't know why this didn't main event the show, by the way. I get them putting the triple threat match on first. Why wouldn't you do Ziggler and Miz in the main event at that point? Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton? The match was boring as shit, and I talked about it this past Tuesday. I mean, I know Luke Harper came back, but Ziggler and Miz really should have been the main event. Anyway, I went into more detail about this match in that Wrestle Rant edition, the review of No Mercy 2016 from this past Tuesday, if you want to check it out. But anyway, I thought the finish was phenomenal. So, Maurice gives Miz the hairspray again, and I think Ziggler either kicked out or he dodged it or something happened. So they kind of incorporated that element, kind of playing off their past matches. They had the Spirit Squad get involved, who had been mocking Dolph Ziggler for weeks on SmackDown alongside The Miz. So they got involved, and Ziggler thwarted their interference. And then when they got banned to the back along with Maurice, Miz wasn't looking, and Ziggler, when he turned around, hit Miz with a super kick and got the 1-2-3, new Intercontinental Champion. The place went nuts for a Ziggler win in 2016. Could you imagine? I mean, Ziggler, by that point, to me, I just could not care less about the guy, but the crowd was really happy to see him win. It was a big victory, and he lost the title a few weeks later, but anyway, I thought it was a really, really good match. And, it should have main evented the show. So it is my favorite No Mercy match to date. Again, maybe Cena and Reigns tops that on Sunday. Maybe Brock and Braun ends up at number 1 after Sunday's pay-per-view. But once again, a recap, my list of top 7 favorite No Mercy matches of all time. Coming in at number 7, Batista versus Eddie Guerrero from the 2005 No Mercy event for the World Heavyweight Championship. Number 6, Chris Benoit versus William Regal from No Mercy 2006. Number 5, Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, once again, Chris Benoit making another appearance on this list, versus Edge and Rey Mysterio from No Mercy 02 for the inaugural WWE Tag Team titles. Coming in at number 4, AJ Styles versus John Cena versus Dean Ambrose in a triple threat match for the WWE Championship from No Mercy 2016. Coming in at number 3, Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker for the WWE Championship inside Hell in a Cell from No Mercy 2002. From 2008's No Mercy for the World Heavyweight Championship once again. In a ladder match, Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels. And of course, a number 1 undisputed favorite match of mine from No Mercy's history for the Intercontinental Championship, The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. So I would love to know what your guys' favorite matches are in No Mercy's history. There's a bunch of others I didn't include here. I know there was a great triple threat at No Mercy 99, not the UK one. It might have been the UK one. I don't remember. It was like Stone Cold, Triple H, and Taker, which was a good match. The Rock and Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho and The Rock. You could include the Hardy Boys versus Edge and Christian. It's a great match. It's just not among my favorites from the second No Mercy show in 99, I think it was. But there's a lot of great matches, is what I'm trying to get out of here. Chris Jericho, or rather Chris Benoit versus Triple H from No Mercy, I think 2000, not 01. I think it was 2000. Yeah, Triple H was gone by No Mercy 2001. He was injured, so it was No Mercy 2000. But those are some honorable mentions. So let me know what your list is in the comment section down below. You can tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.Matthews. All the links are down below in the description box. We are back next Friday. As of this recording, I was at NXT Lowell last night. I'm recording this prior to that point, henceforth why my voice is still intact. I won't be doing a random video blog on that, I don't think. I'll probably have a written review up of the show and the results and whatnot up on Next Day Wrestling at some point, so stay tuned for that. But next week, I should be talking about my experience meeting DIY's Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Cody Rhodes, Rob Van Dam, and Austin Aries at Chaotic Wrestling last September in 2016. So I'll be talking about that probably, assuming everything stays on track, for next Friday right here on the Random Video Blog. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for daily content. All that being said, guys, have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy No Mercy on Sunday if you're watching. I'm Graham Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.